Hi, and welcome to our tale of two college-bound families. As so many of us know, most families struggle to cover the cost of today's college tuition. The cost of going to college has outpaced inflation and any increases in family incomes. Unless you've hit the jackpot, savings from your 529 plans won't be enough, and finding money from your current income is probably unrealistic. So instead of taking out loans, start thinking creatively. What if you could find and apply to schools that are more generous with their financial aid and merit scholarships? Follow along as we look at two families with similar finances and see what happens as they search for colleges for their high school students. Our tale of two college-bound families start by finding out their expected family contributions, or their EFC. Both families have four members, two parents and two children, with only one child on their way to college. The parents have an income of $150,000. The student has assets of $1,000, while the parents have savings of $100,000 in non-retirement accounts. Both families have an EFC of just over $33,000. That means colleges expect that each family can afford to pay $33,000 each year for tuition. This number is calculated based on a formula determined by the federal government that primarily relies heavily on what a family's current income is, along with other factors. Let's meet the Johnson family. Mike Johnson is a high school senior and is excited to go off to college next year. He's worked hard and has a 3.8 GPA. He's in the top 10% of his class and scored a 30 on his ACTs. Mike's family, like others, are very concerned that they'll barely be able to afford their EFC. But at this point, they don't know what else to do. They're hoping the financial aid offers Mike gets in the spring will be enough to cover the difference between their EFC and the total cost of attending the schools Mike is ultimately accepted to. Then there's the Robertson family. Their daughter Emily has a very similar academic profile to Mike. She scored a 30 on the ACT and has a 3.8 GPA and is in the top 10% of her class. Like the Johnsons, Emily's parents are very concerned about being able to pay for college, and they don't want to be saddled with loans. They aren't going to leave things up to chance, and they make sure to research which colleges are more generous with their merit scholarships. Let's see what happens. Mike and Emily are both accepted at very good schools, but as you can see from the list, the net tuition prices vary dramatically. The net price is a family's cost to attend a college after financial aid and scholarships are factored in. Mike was interested in a large urban school, many of which are very popular. Although he was accepted, these schools are not particularly generous with their financial aid and scholarships. In comparison, Emily and her parents searched out schools that have a history of being more generous with their financial aid and scholarship money. In the end, Emily has a larger list of schools to choose from that are more affordable for her and her family. Let's see how each family can cover the costs. Mike decides to go to the University of Michigan. Because he's an out-of-state student, he pays a higher tuition and receives no aid or scholarship from the school. He's eligible, like all students, to take out a federal Stafford loan of $5,500 for his first year at school. His family is expected to pay their EFC of $33,625. Even after taking out the Stafford loan, Mike's family has a gap between their EFC and the school's tuition. They are forced to take out more loans as either a Parent Plus loan or co-signing student loans in Mike's name. In total, Mike and his family will have loans of $98,000 by the time he graduates, and they will struggle to cover their expected family contribution. In comparison, Emily decides to go to Beloit College, where she received scholarship and grants from the school totaling $35,000. This dramatically reduced the net price of the school for Emily's family. As a result, Emily's net price is even less than her family's EFC. Emily's parents can cover the net tuition price without even having Emily take out any loans. So what are our lessons? Paying less for college starts by having the right admission strategy. This means making sure your student applies to colleges your family can afford. And before you can put together a list of schools to apply to, you must know your EFC, your expected family contribution. You should research schools that are more likely to offer need-based and or merit-based aid, and you should use the college's net price calculators to get an estimate of what type of aid you might. If both families had done more upfront research, here's what they would have found out. The University of Michigan gives less than 50% of their students any sort of aid, compared to Beloit, which gives 95% of their students some type of aid. University of Michigan's average institutional grant to freshmen is a little over $12,000, compared to Deloitte's $22,643. And the average net price for the schools for families with incomes over $100,000 is almost $53,000 for University of Michigan, compared to $28,000 for Beloit. The numbers don't lie, and each family would have had a good idea of what the financial outcome would be at these schools before even applying. So what if your student doesn't have a good enough list of affordable colleges that they apply to? Then you might have to start praying for luck to see what type of financial offers your family will get when school acceptances come in. But if you don't want to leave your college financial decisions to luck, you'll need to do more upfront research to find out which colleges are more generous before applying to them. Data is available to help you research and find generous schools. Some of the most important information to look at is what percent of students receive money from the college. If that percentage is high, you know the college is willing to offer aid to many of its students. A second piece of information to look at is the average amount of money a college offers. This is a key indicator of how generous a school may be. And one more piece of information to consider is how much of the total cost of attending does the average aid offer cover. These are just a few examples of the type of information we can help you find and evaluate in doing research on colleges before deciding to apply. As our gift to you, we've compiled a list of the most generous colleges from each region of the country. This will give any family beginning the college search a jump start on the process of finding colleges that are more generous. Don't forget, submit your email address on our Facebook page and we'll send you this great list. You should also stay tuned to hear more about other tools we're developing to help families more easily research colleges using information to make knowledgeable decisions for your family and your student.